recognize the opportunity at this time in the meeting to address the board concerning any matter on the meeting's agenda. If you completed a public comment card, please provide it to the staff. Public comment will be held at the podium in the center aisle and front. Please be advised that the board will not respond during public comment to remarks made by speakers. Abusive language, defined as swearing, use of profanity, or name calling, is prohibited. Speakers who fail to follow proper decorum in this chamber will be ruled out of order. Any speaker continuing with such remarks will be required to relinquish the microphone per board policy 169.1 and may be removed from the chambers. There will be one warning. Per board policy 169.1, the time per speaker is 3 minutes if there are 20 speakers or less. You will find a countdown on the big screen in front of the room. Once your time has elapsed, the microphone will automatically shut off. Please state your name when you approach the microphone. I will call your names 5 speakers at a time. Please follow staff's direction when lining up. Madam Chair, there are 9 speakers that wish to address the board at this moment, thereby allowing 3 minutes each speaker.
You may proceed. Thank you.
First 5 speakers, please come up. We'll start with Ms. Marge Cox, Monica Schmucker, Jenny Tarter-Parizo, John Cox, and Carrie Woodson.
Good afternoon. I'm Marge Cox. I live in Bonita Springs. I'm a retired educator. And I started in April with telling you that there were data points that would show over time the importance of having media specialists in your schools. I've heard you say consistently you want to have improved student achievement. You want to base decisions based on data. And so that's what I'm trying to provide you each time. So April gave you the data for the importance of having media specialists. In May, I told you about the facilities that provided media training and the process through the Florida Department of Education. Today, I'm going to explain how school librarians help that keep the heart of the school beating with joy. And you have papers that you'll receive afterwards. I also sent an email so you can directly hit the links. School librarians help to acquire the right materials for their school. They teach collaboratively with their classroom teachers. They're assisting students to develop research skills. They're interacting with parents and caregivers. They're promoting reading. They're supporting administrative programs and developing meaningful relationships with students and staff. I have a sample instructional option based on the Florida standards at the bottom of the paper that you'll receive. It's built around standard for 4th grade math, which is build a foundation of addition, subtraction, and multiplication operations with fractions. And it refers to the book Fraction Action. I'm not going to read all of this to you, though I think you'd like it if I did, but I want to show you what could be done with it. As they read through it, one of the pages says, we are a set of 4 squares. I am a fourth of the set. As I would read that to kids, I'd say, okay, so how would you write that as a fraction so that the kids are interactively involved? They're not just hearing, they're doing. And research tells us that when kids can do as well as listen, they're going to remember more. There's a second choice for that. We're a set of 5 circles. I'm a fifth of the set. What would 1/5 look like if you were writing it as a fraction so that the kids are involved all the way through? The activity then, and I've done this with students so I know it works, I separated an orange and counted out the segments that were in that orange and how would that work. And then the kids had oranges and they separated theirs as well so that they could see. And as an assessment, the classroom teacher would count out the out loud the number of students in the class. The students would notice what percentage they were of the boys and the girls in the entire class. So your library media specialists are not just checking out books, they're impacting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cox.
Go back to the hot tub.
Ms. Shaviano, I'm going to ask you to mute your computer possibly.
Good afternoon, Monica Schmucker. After Ian, all the options for dealing with Beach School included fixing the historic building because that was required. Next was what to do with the kids while that happened. You were presented with the cost to rent portables at $5.8 million. Our committee said, don't waste money renting portables. Spend that building us a permanent building. And that gave birth to the ILA and the phased rebuild plan, giving us the cafe building with the money that you would have spent on our portables. ILA section 3.1, phase 1B says by fiscal year 24-25, the board shall build additional facilities to accommodate a permanent cafeteria. Phase 2, section A, the school board shall design and construct additional facilities to accommodate enrollment growth to 150 kids. The full cost of running the school shall be borne by the school board through fiscal year 27. Thereafter, if our school meets the threshold where it can sustain itself in line with the other Barrier Island schools based on the cost per student report, Beach School shall continue to operate. You didn't build us that cafeteria by the end of this year, and that in itself is a violation of the agreement. The ILA indeed contemplates another hurricane. Section 7.3 does not excuse your performance. If there were an unavoidable delay, it would extend the agreement. Nothing that Milton brought interferes with your ability to build that cafeteria building. That land is still there. Beach School had multiple buildings before Ian. Milton's damage to the building was it took on a few inches of water. No Helene damage and no Irma damage. The mere hiring of a consultant who's on a multi-million-dollar retainer to determine what to do here violates our agreement. You already directed your staff to have a functioning school and build the cafeteria. What this consultant says, notwithstanding, until 2027, we're to have a running school. If the recommendation is to close the school, then the vote before you is whether or not to violate the agreement with our town that you put into place. If you want out of the ILA, the way to do it is to let it play out. You give us what you promised us. You give us the full amount of time to do what we promised. And then if we aren't sustainable by 2027, then you consider the options of what to do. But recall that the options are receiving funding, subsidizing options, and other options before closing the school is even on the table. Section 7.12 states that time is of the essence. The delays by the district are only causing our town additional damages, and this provision of the agreement acknowledges that. All we want is for you to adhere to the agreement that's in place. Not only is the consultant report faulty with faulty data, which we'll show you more, but it's irrelevant to our current situation. Our agreement was to continue with the phased rebuild, and it wasn't contingent on any additional viability studies. We had a demographer and we considered the factors, and the ILA gives us 3.5 years to be sustainable. Any vote for anything else to violate
Thank you.
the agreement that you
Thank you. Your time is up.
Hi, my name is Jenny Tarda-Paradiso. First, I'm going to finish what she was saying. We had a demographer and considered many factors after Ian. With that, our plan was put into place with the ILA, giving us 3.5 years to become sustainable. 5 of you voted to put that plan in place. Any vote to do anything else, plan to violate the agreement you implemented. Now for me. Today is the last day of school for my daughter at Beach Elementary. She was in tears this morning because she doesn't want to move on to middle school. Beach School is her safe space. Now, I realize Beach School is small, and because of that, our cost per student was very high. But I also know without that small school, my daughter would have struggled much more than she did. In kindergarten, she left for spring break and didn't return thanks to COVID. In first grade, she struggled because she has hearing difficulties. She's had 7 surgeries in 7 years. She struggled with math because she reads lips. She got far behind, but her teachers didn't give up on her. They gave her the care and the attention that she needed because they could. Third grade brought us Hurricane Ian, which we lost everything, as most of our friends and neighbors did. Not just photos and clothing, but whole homes, whole blocks, churches, parks, the pier, everything. Just gone. The school was still there. Our entire community rallied behind our families because they knew instinctively that we were going to need our beloved school to care for our most vulnerable. And I'll be honest, it wasn't just for the kids. Us parents needed the school too. Somewhere we trusted wholeheartedly to leave our most precious items. The only things we had left are kids. These are the same kids who watched our houses collapse thanks to the internet. Kids who watched our families get swept away in floodwaters, kids who returned home to find an empty lot, kids who watched their parents try to keep it together. I like to think that the kids were immersed in the resilience everyone is always referencing, the love and general goodness of all of our neighbors in Lee County and beyond have helped them heal on some level. Then came the hard work of rebuilding our enrollment. We knew I couldn't go back to the way it was. We made a deal that we would do everything in our power to reduce costs and make the school a place people will drive their kids to. We know that our way of life is changing, right? And all things change is inevitable. But there is no reason for us to stop doing good work that was working. We were up to 72 kids posting. That increase, along with the reduction of staff, should be celebrated. But instead, we're here again, defending something that was working, something that we agreed to on both sides. I understand our fiscal responsibility, and that's why we entered into this agreement. We saved $5.8 million on those portables. We said, save them, build us a cafeteria, because we needed a full school with a cafeteria, not just a mobile food truck. I'm asking that you uphold your word. Give us the time promise, give us your effort promise, and we need you. Please do the right thing and give us the shot that you promised you would. Thank you.
Hi, John Koss. I'd prepared some remarks, but Mr. Persons had brought up with the study. I agree that the study was more of a construction analysis than it was an actual viability assessment on the island. A lot of the information, the data that they were given them, that they used to do their study was wrong. I don't have time to get into it here, but if you're looking at that, I think you should take that into consideration. Our cost per student is not what it says in that study. Part of the reason why it's still reported is so high is because there's a lag to get numbers from the state. But I will tell you that we have saved money on the island and our cost per student has gone down. That being said, it's a difficult conversation to come up here and have. Miss Jordan, you had mentioned, previously working at Pink Shell, that you don't believe people will come. I will tell you that right now, 30% of the families that are sending kids to our school are from off the island already, and we only have one resort open. I will tell you that our tenacity in dealing with developers on the island is real. We do expect them to work with their HR. Back in the old days, I don't want to age you, but back previously, part of that may have been that there wasn't communication with the HR person, that we didn't ask them to drive their schedules in a way to where somebody could get to the island at 6:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning. They could drop their kids off at a phenomenal, preschool program. Their kids could go to school. They could pick them up at 6 o'clock at night. We're trying to work that flexibility in there. And as the gentleman who's going to speak after me, he's one of the consultants that's dealing with a lot of our developers. Our developers are taking this and running with it. And I think that, as Mr. Person said, I don't see an issue with getting, 150, 200 kids on that island, even if they're not organic from the people that live there. And the people will be welcome to our community. And I think they'll love going to school on the beach. Thank you for your time.
As Ms. Karen Whitson comes up, can I have the next 5 speakers, starting with John King, Patrick Vanessa, and the Mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Ellers, Rosanna Riley, and Paul Cohen.
Thank you. You can proceed, sir.
I'm John R. King, Fort Myers Beach Council member. I believe this is the 3rd time I've addressed this body regarding the Fort Myers Beach Elementary School. Last time was April 2023. At that meeting, I asked the board to work with the parents in the town in an open, transparent, honest, and inclusive process. That next month, we both signed an interlocal agreement for the rebuild and continuing operation of Fort Myers Beach Elementary. Superintendent Carlin, we have joined you. You've excluded us. Now I stand here 2 years later, and I'm asking this board for the rebuild and continuing operation of Fort Myers Beach Elementary. The process that's gotten us here has been less than open, transparent, honest, and inclusive. Because of this agreement, we are partners, and we deserve to be included in the decisions affecting our school. It feels like the lesson this district wants to teach our children is not to honor agreements. It's my life experience that when schools seek more money from taxpayers, we're told it's about the kids. This is less likely about the kids and more about the money. Board members, 5 of you approved this interlocal agreement. I implore you to help this community. Let's get back to working together. As we've shown before, there's nothing we can't accomplish for our kids and their teachers, and I'll guarantee that.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Vaness. I'm happy that I'm here today, finally get to talk to the decision makers. If you're going to put any weight into this report that was brought before you, I would say look at it closely. Please listen to us. I question the legitimacy of that report, and I question the credibility of that report. Right after Ian, we made a point to your demographer to look at the island holistically, not just to look at population trends of residents only. The island has always been more about the residents, the employers, the employees, and everybody that lives in the 33931 zip code. Previously, we have been handcuffed. We were not, while school choice existed, we were not on those forms. People were not given the ability to check off Fort Myers Beach and send those kids to our school. So we've worked with you. We've expressed that. Things are changing. I can also tell you that I work with many development entities that are proposing projects and have gotten projects approved on Fort Myers Beach. A lot of those projects have provided commitments and conditions of approval in their zoning approval that they will promote the beach school. Their HR department will explain to them that they have school choice, that there are opportunities for pre-care and aftercare. We have all, so going back to the credibility of what your demographer has done, they've omitted to look at this model that we already have with Sanibel, that you can bring kids from off the school to our island. But also, they have failed to look at the results since Ian. We have proven them wrong already. In 7 months, we exceeded their projections. They said that we would not exceed 50 students. We were at 72 before the storm. And this is going to keep increasing. So if you are going to put any credence to this report, please look at it in detail. Let us educate your consultant and let us provide you the facts. And I think what you'll see is what's in the report is not accurate. And I don't think the report is legitimate in itself. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Ms. Carlin, board members. Thank you for having me. I never thought I'd be at another meeting after our marathon last night, but yet here I am. Numbers are an amazing thing. And following your slides up there, there was some things that really stuck out to me. The 89,164 students that you have and a $2.9 million budget. Numbers and statistics, you can make them tell whatever narrative you really want to, right? For instance, I could take those numbers and say, that's probably a little off because it's been a long day. $32,524-ish per student. Even if you were to take the $27,000 per student, my question to my staff would be, where's the other $5,000 going? If that encompasses everything from the building to the 67% salary cost that you showed to those plaques in front of you, where's the other $5,000 going? And I only say that simply because numbers, again, can be statistics. They could be whatever you want them to be. To me, there's two numbers that really matter in this entire thing, 0 and 1. Mr. Fisher, you said that there was an issue of declining school kid members before the school. I agree. But you know how many times we were contacted as a council to let us know that that was an issue? 0. We would have taken action had we known. The storm was unfortunate for all of us, but it reset the decline that you were talking about. It gave us opportunity. You want to talk about the council members, Mr. Persons. We are not just suggesting that development take into action. We are making a condition of their approval. If you look at the Arches last night, one of their conditions of approval was to drive that enrollment up because of what Mr. Vaness just said, before school, after school programs. And Ms. Jordan, I will respectfully disagree with you. I have spoken to every one of the resort owner GMs on the island and the owners. Not only are they excited about the program, and not only are there people using it, it also benefits them because that allows them to bring better talent into the school. Because now they know, we as parents all know, the closer we could be to our children, the better work we do, right? If I know I'm 5 minutes away from my child, should something happen, God forbid, at the school where they got hurt, I'm 5 minutes away. That means a lot to people. That will bring in a bigger client and a bigger clientele. Trying to hurry up. I'm a look forward type of guy. I'm a problem solver. The number one that I was talking about, it comes down to each one of you. You each have one vote. It's going to be your vote. I understand that there was discussions about it, bringing other people in and having all that, but at the end of the day, it's your one vote. We're asking you to take a good hard look at what we're doing to work with you, instruct your staff. Although you can't take any action today, if there's one thing I can say before my time runs out, you can give guidance. You can give guidance even though you can't vote. My suggestion would be give the superintendent guidance to take closing the school off the table. That will ease a lot of tension. And let us work together to finish what we
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Cohen. I have nearly 40 years of audit experience and am past president of 2 different chapters of the Institute of Internal Auditors, which is an international professional association founded in 1941 with over 260,000 members. They offer professional certification and provide standards for the internal audit profession. I'm also a former officer of 2 different chapters of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, a professional organization founded in 1988 with over 95,000 members. I'm also a certified fraud examiner, certified to perform quality assessment reviews of the internal audit function, a certified risk manager, and was previously a certified internal controls auditor. I'm also past chair of the district's Finance Advisory Committee, and with the aid of that committee's hardworking, unpaid volunteer members, found significant cost savings, income sources, and helped to address some procedural weaknesses in the district. I also helped to create the current Lee County School District's Audit Committee and a significant role in the creation of its policy. I'm opening my discussion with you in this matter so you fully comprehend that I'm not someone who does not understand both the internal audit process, but also has a good understanding of the district. I'm speaking with you today as a citizen who also happens to chair the Lee County School District's Audit Committee. The committee was created over 2 years ago. I am proud to have been its first chair and to be collaborating with volunteer professionals who I respect and who put the district first. I also appreciate the support received from Dave Newland and his staff, and especially appreciate the professional respect received from RSM, the board's internal auditor. The committee was formed at the request of RSM, and thus far a strong partnership has been established for the betterment of the district between both parties with mutual respect established. To date, the committee has ensured that a risk-based audit plan is in existence. And for the sake of time, I have numerous concerns about the internal audit function. The committee has only been invited to speak with this board on one occasion, and that was to educate the board on the role of the committee and to ensure that the board understands the difference between audit and an efficiency study. To my knowledge, no other advisory committee has been not given the right to present to this board and to the superintendent. We receive administrative support from Mr. Newland and his team, but in most organizations, that support comes from the CFO. And lastly, the most important part, and I have a copy of this presentation, I would like it read into the minutes of the meeting. I hope that my chair replacement will receive a better.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
We'd like to make last call for Rosanna Riley and Karen Woodson. And if they're neither here, Madam Chair, that will conclude all the people signed up for public comment.
Thank you. We're going to move on to good of the order or other business. I'm going to start with Ms. Shaviano. Do you have anything for good of the order?
I do not, thank you.
Ms. Giovanelli? Mr. Fisher?
Hey, Madam Chair, briefly, going through, we're all going to be, or many of us going to be going to FSBA conference next week, where we'll be looking at a new slate of executive leadership there. Horizon Council, Dr. Carlin and I attended, and we had a very interesting discussion they had on arts in the community. I believe it was the Alliance of the Arts, and talked about the impact both within, education and community. I thought that was very interesting. I want to give a shout out to my fellow acting buddy and her amazing job at State of the Schools by Superintendent Carlin. You hit it out of the park, and I really appreciate how you presented to our community and the things you told them about what's the great things going on in this district. So I appreciate that. Real quick, board auditor, I have kept the job posting open a little bit more. I know sometimes during this fiscal part of the year that some people in government this time of year, I know they try to, there's some movement in jobs throughout the places. I would like to figure out obviously next steps of what our next meeting will be. I know obviously you're approaching, many of us have summer vacations, other things. So I will probably discuss with our staff and see when some appropriate times are. Maybe, I guess, I don't know if we want to do more towards our next meeting in July or not, to go to some next steps. So that's all I have. I'll hold the rest for the meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ribble?
Yeah, I already reported on the FGCU involvement versus the Lee County Schools. I do want to comment on the ITF, and that's our Claims Review Committee. Dr. Irucci was very gracious to set up our first review with Aetna to talk about specific claims. Again, it's not good news. Our claims are now up over last year for the month of $2.1 million, being 8.9 million last year. This year, 11 million. We got into a good conversation about workman's comp and injuries in the school district by staff. And believe it or not, the number one injury is slips and falls, which is a teacher or a staff person standing on a chair to reach something high and falling. And particularly those that are over age 60 are not doing well with a fall like that when it comes to healing. So guys like myself need to refrain from standing on a chair. But we're going to take a look at that. And as you know, we have the mandatory learning each and every year. We have 8 or 9 of those that we got to complete. The HR group's telling me they're going to add a piece on accident prevention, which has to be, I believe it's less than 8 minutes. Is that correct? Less than 8 minutes, but that'll be 8 minutes well spent so you don't get yourself hurt or in a situation where you got to break a hip, a leg, or an arm or whatever. One other thing, I was glad to hear about what we're doing with the auditor, but I would like to move the contract with our attorney along if we possibly can. That's all I have.
Ms. Jordan?
Thank you. I really want to thank the folks from, you can correct me anytime, I'm good like that. But just thank you all for being here and speaking your truth. I also want to say I really appreciate when I say things that I'm not acknowledged and I'm just dismissed, just like I was when I spoke about possibly being on the advocacy. It just went deaf ears and moved right along like I didn't even speak. So I just wanted to bring that up and let you know how that just made me feel. So I understand how people think that we don't hear them. Also, with Mr. Ribble, thank you for bringing that up because I was bringing that up as well. I know that the board attorney had spoke to us regarding the amendment to her employee agreement. And I thought we were going to see it on this agenda, which it is not on there. But I do believe that we need to do that sooner than later. The last time that this was brought, it's the same agreement since April of 2020. And I think it's time that we put that to bed and move on with that. All the other things I will speak about later today. So thank you so much.
Mr. Persons?
I'll save mine for this evening. Thank you.
I'm going to save most of my comments for this evening, but I do want to just bring to the public's attention, since we talked about safety and we talked about mental health, many of us were able to go tour the sheriff's headquarters a few days ago. And, I've always known that the sheriff and the department has done, an outstanding job at partnering with the school district. But until you see that facility, I mean, talk about state of the art. So I just really appreciated that that tour and that high level discussion we had. So I know I got to see the robot dog, and that was really cool. But the last thing, I had attended the health advisory committee a couple weeks ago. They're doing such an amazing, Miss Roy and that whole team does such a great job. We talked a lot about the amount of water that you should be drinking, and everybody went home with a nice big Yeti cup. So I think they're down in the district office somewhere. If there might be a few extras, you should get your hands on one. But it reminded me that we've talked about this in the past, and I think some summertime homework for some of our staff is to really hone in on our school lunches. And what a great time of year, other than the first part of the year, is to send our home kids to school knowing that they're going to get an awesome meal, all the colors on the plate. And I know we've talked about in the past, it's been several months since we brought it back, and I got another email about it last week. So it's something I continue to hear about, but I know that they're working hard, and I look forward to hearing more about it. Dr. Carlin.
I believe Mr. Fisher may have a comment.
Oh, Mr. Fisher.
I just wanted to follow up on the board attorney contract. So the majority of this board a few months ago tasked me with working with outside counsel to renegotiate the contract for the board attorneys. So we proceeded with that. Each of you gave your input on that. Approximately April 5th, our board attorney said she wished to cease negotiations at that point. At that point, having no other direction from this board, when it came to discuss just parts of the contract, not the contract as a whole, at that point, I left it up. In this point, if the majority of board wants to discuss pieces of the contract, but I did not bring it forth because it was outside of our process. I was not given any other authority. So we talk about processes and procedures in this district. So I followed the guidance of the majority of this board. And when I did that, obviously the majority of the board, if they wish to decide differently, we're welcome to bring that forward. We're able to do that. But in my capacity and that I was tasked with, we were not following the process at that point. Again, that's nothing against the board attorney. I've already explained that to her. But that was what the direction I was given. The contract negotiations are ceased, and only partial terms of that contract were then be asked to look at. We have 4 corners of document. So on what was represented to me, I feel that if we want to restart negotiations, we're welcome to do that. We will then engage outside counsel at that point. If the rest of this board wishes to proceed without that, then that is our decision. Thank you.
Dr. Carlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I wanted to take a moment just to compliment our board. There are a wide variety of things that are happening in our community and in the nation. And when I think about your relentless focus on the most important work, I want to appreciate you. We talked about items pertaining to school safety today. We talked about our budget. We talked about things that are critical to move this district forward to #1 in the Big Ten of the state of Florida. You are focusing on the work. And I just needed to publicly recognize you that these are very critical issues that we're talking about. Mental health, our budget, being more transparent, engaging our parents, making sure that they are empowered as as partners in their child's education, talking about the future of our schools, including Fort Myers Beach Elementary. These are important conversations, and I just thank you for your time and attention to those. I also want to thank the elected officials, the parents, the community members that came out to speak today, including those from Fort Myers Beach. It is so important that you know that we care about the comments that you make. Obviously, we don't respond after each one of your comments. However, we've heard your commentary today, and we appreciate that. Again, just to reiterate, these are conversations that we will continue to have offline, one-on-one with our board members as well as with my staff. So I appreciate your comments, and I'll reserve the balance of my comments for this evening's action meeting. Thank you.
Attorney DePay Bruno.
Attorney McIntosh, since you're sitting in my seat, I don't have anything.
I have no comment.
Thank you. Today, we have a student performance at 5:45 p.m. followed by a board action meeting at 6 p.m. At this point, having no other business come before this body and seeing no objection, this meeting is adjourned, and the time is 5:07 p.m.